Hello all. I We talked about joining two two tables and then coming up with a query. It is about figure 2-47, 48, and 49 of the book. Please bring the book and look at those pictures and those figures and we are going to get started. In figure 2-47, you see the appointment table. Uh, I have here, I click create, query design, and I double click on appointment. And also you see treatment cost, which is right here. I double click and I close this. And as you see, this table is related to this table through treatment number because that is here and that is here. And because they are in both places, a very good thing can be done is that we can get some of these fields and put them here, and some of these fields to put them here. That way, we can have a new query that is a kind of coming from both tables, and it's a powerful tool of access that because of this relationship of between these two tables, it is doable. And for that reason, we are going to go ahead and according to the book, we get an appointment date in here. And from this one, we put treatment, animal type, and cost. After we put that, we put it in ascending order. Last time when I talked, I forgot to put this ascending, and now let me run this one and see. And then at the same time, in figure 2-48, if it asks us to click on this relationship and put the click here, include all records, and click OK, and then run the query. Once we run the query, you see that we see figure 2-49. When last time I forgot to put ascending, what happened is that this appointment date came in different spots. Some of them were here, some of them was here, but as you see, this is in a kind of ascending order. And even you can see the ascending order here, F, H, M, N. Do you see this alphabetical in the form of ascending order? These are not. We didn't try to do anything in ascending in terms of this. And again, when you come here, D, F, and I, most likely it is based on this and the combination of that. That's why it put this first and then came into the dates here. Now, that we have, this is figure 2-49. Again, I can go ahead and click save. Let's see if it saves it. How about if I call this one as, for example, 14 I call it, or because I have other numbers I have done to this table, or I can call it, I think we went up to 10, doesn't matter what number we give as long as it is there. I call it 14, and then I call it figure, because the name of the figure 2-47 all the way to 2-49, and I click OK. That is something we wanted to make sure I have shown you. And we showed you create report from query and using a form in the videos we showed you. And just as your practice, we want you to do that. And we showed you how to export this to Excel. Now we are going to go further. And I think we did the calculation, but we want to do one more time just to make sure you understood the concept of how to do the calculation using Access. And of course, you learned it about Excel. Excel was easy to do AutoSum, and Access also allows you to do calculation, but in another format. For example, I want you to look at figure 2-64 and 2-64 in that and 63. And here we are talking about veterinary vendors. If I click there, and that is suppose we want to do some kind of calculation. We want to multiply 50 by 40 to get 200 here. Imagine I am the owner of this company. I ask you, how much are we supposed to pay to Duncan, the veterinary supplies? And the answer is 200. You don't want to manually type it, and you want to see if Access can calculate it for you. That's where figure 2-63 comes from. It wants you to click create and query design, and it is vendors, and I am going to make it a little bit stretch this one, and I see that once I do that, I have to bring vendor names here. Therefore, I double click vendor's name. After that, I have to bring state. After that, I have to bring supply. After that, quantity. And after that, cost. Now, my goal is to multiply quantity by cost. That way I get my 200. One thing I do here, I right click and I click zoom. The reason I bring zoom is that here is such a small place I cannot see where. I click zoom and this screen pops up. And as soon as this screen pops up, that's what you see in figure 2-64. I want the name of this column to be total cost. Therefore, I type total cost. And then I have to put colon, and then I have to open a bracket and type quantity, and then I close this and multiply by, again, I open another one bracket and I type cost, and I close bracket. If I typed my formula correctly and I didn't put extra space, I didn't put, here you go, quantity is misspelled here. It wouldn't have been able to do the calculation if I had done that. And I click OK, and you see the name appeared here. If I typed it correctly, it will, that's where it got in here. And therefore that is the therefore let me call this one as I click save, and imagine that save as, I would say 15, and I will call it figure 2-63 all the way to 2-66, and I click OK. Therefore you learned about how to do these multiplications in here. And also figure 2-67, it wants you, I want to show you to change the caption. Here do you see quantity, and here do you see cost. Can I change these in here, but not in the design? I'll go to my view, for example, and when I got, that is where you are looking at figure 2-67, and it starts from, by going here, clicking create and query design view, and double click on veterinary, and then I click close, and then I bring this one, and imagine I click quantity, and I click cost. Of course, the book, types other things in here. Just for simplicity, I just type quantity. Do you see here is written cost? What I see cost here, it has a caption here. I caption, how about instead of cost, I want to put some means dollar. I want to see the name of dollar. How about the quantity? Quantity, what do I want to have for caption to say? Quantity, how many I put? How many? And then how many? And then if I run it, you won't see cost and quantity. While cost and quantity are here, you will see dollar. And look at here. And do you see dollar and how many? That is what you see in figure 2-67. Let me save this one as well. And let me call it 16, for example. And let me call it figure 2-67 and 2-68. And then I click OK. And that is what we did. Now we look at figure 2-69. In that figure, we want to do some calculation, and imagine that look at the veterinarian vendor, which is, I will double click here, and let's click on create query design, and let me double click on query, and I will tell you, after we create this, we will discuss about what we got. I will click cost, for example, and when I click cost, I click on this sort. And it is important that I want to do some calculation here. Based on, do you see here, this is like, think about this as a formula bar. If I click there, sort changes to total. And then it is asking me to group by. I want to know the cost and group by. Here you go, I have to click on group by. And what I want to calculate is the average cost. And the average cost, do you remember in Excel we did have average? And therefore, the cost, because we buy items from different vendors. Some of the vendors charge a lot for their items, some of them a little less. On average, what is the cost of these items we buy? The cost of these items is around $9.99. That some of them have $14, some of them $5 on average. Therefore, I am going to save this one, and I am going to call it. I am going to call it 17, and call excuse me, figure 2-70, and all the way to 2-72, and I click OK, and that is another query that we created. Now we look at another query, which is about veterinary. It is figure 2-73 and 2-74, and as you see, we do have new query. I click here and query design. I will click on veterinary vendors. I click add, and veterinary vendors is there. And I am going to, one thing, excuse me, one thing I will do, I will try to add these veterinary vendors to the tables that you already have. Maybe some of you might not know how to bring it from outside to this table, to the main table. I'll try to do that for you. That was one of your assignments to do that, but I will do it and post it on Blackboard. That way you don't go through an extra step, and it makes it a little easier for you. I want you to look at figure 2-73. As you see, we have our veterinary vendors, and I double click cost. It brings it here, and I double click on veterinary name. I believe it is, that's called vendor name, and we get the cost and we get the vendor. And now we want to sort this one, which means I click here on my total. Oops, I'm sorry. I click OK, and I click total, and this group by will come. And here I want this group by, I want the average. Not only I want the average, at the same time, I want to see where it says where, we will see where what it means. And we click where, and we run our query, and it is coming to 899. Most likely we did miss something. Oh, I forgot what we forgot. We go to our design view again, and here we missed one more important component. We had to put a kind of in the criteria, we had to put SAN with a star. And most likely coming from SAN, what is the average? Not only we are looking average, we have one more criteria, that vendor's name starts with SAN. We want to see how much the average, items that they are selling us, how much it is. Therefore, I will click run, and it is 875. That's what you see in figure 2-75. I'm going to click this here, and I call it 18, and I call it figure 2-74, and 2-76, and I click OK, and that is about that figure. And let's look at another concept, which is an important one. It's the kind of has extra steps, and that would be the last lecture, and that is called cross-tab queries. And we will talk about that in our next video.